everyone. My name is Anushka Basu, pronoun she, her. I'm a student outreach ambassador or SOA for the Transfer Opportunity Program at UC Davis, and I'll be one of your presenters today. I'm joined by Ala, who is also an SOA, and Fabian, one of the Transfer Opportunity Program coordinators. If you have questions, please use the Q&A section to ask, since we will be using the chat to drop links. So here's a quick agenda of our discussion. First, we'll go over some reasons why people go to college. If we don't mention your reason in the presentation, we would like to hear your why. Then we will talk about some of the different transfer options. After that, we'll talk about the cost of attendance, since that's a major factor for many people. Then we will talk about the steps to getting your degree, and then we will end with some useful resources and tools for your transfer journey. So first, let's talk about knowing your why. So why go to college? It's a very subjective question. My answer might be different from Ala's or Fabian's or any of yours, but here are some reasons a lot of people choose to go to college, such as exploring career options, earning more money, meeting new people, and more. Next slide, please. So before we get into transfer options, let's go over freshmen versus transfer applicants. Currently enrolled community college students often, but don't always apply as transfers. They might apply as freshmen or even graduate applicants. So it's important to figure out your plan as soon as possible. If you're pursuing an undergraduate degree, you can apply as a freshman or transfer applicant. Freshman applicants are students currently enrolled in or have graduated from high school who have not enrolled at a regular session in a college or university. And a regular session means fall and spring for a semester school and fall, winter, and spring for a quarter school. Summer counts as a special session. Transfer applicants have enrolled in a regular session at a college or university. Transfer students can apply as a sophomore, junior, or senior. So when you meet with your advisor, ask them what standing you will transfer with so you know how to fill out your applications correctly and create a plan. Okay, so now based on this knowledge, we will test your knowledge in the next few slides. So here's our first scenario. Kim is currently enrolled at a high school and a California community college. By the time she graduates from high school, she'll have 60 transferable units. When she applies to college next year, will she apply as a freshman or a transfer applicant? I'll give you a little bit to drop answers. Okay, seeing a lot of both answers. So the answer is actually A. She will apply as a freshman. This is because she will still be in high school by the time she's applying. But if she graduated from high school early and her diploma shows that and she was enrolled in a regular session at a community college, then she can apply as a transfer. Okay, now the second scenario. So Pam graduated from high school in spring 2021. In the summer, she enrolled at Woodland Community College, but because of the pandemic, she decided to take a gap year after that. Now she's applying to return to school. So will she apply as a freshman or transfer? Okay, see some people are dropping answers already. Give it a few more seconds. Okay, a lot of mixed answers. So the answer is A, she will apply as a freshman. Although Pam isn't in high school anymore, she never enrolled at a regular session at a community college. So if she was applying right now, she could not apply as a transfer. Okay, our third scenario. A student came to the United States in 2018 and he started to take some classes at a local community college. Then he's going to apply next year. So what process should he apply through? Bachelor's degree, second bachelor's degree, graduate, or not enough information? Okay, so the answer for this one is actually D. We don't know much about the student's academic record and journey, so we cannot make a call here. This is why it is important to disclose this kind of information when you meet with your advisor, whether it be your community college advisors or the top advisors. Then these advisors can help you come up with a strategy and provide accurate information, given that you tell them everything. Every year, students get denied for transfer admission guarantee because they don't disclose this kind of important information about their academic record, and it could have easily been prevented. Also, keep in mind that every school has their own evaluation policy and practices, so keep yourself organized, especially if you have a complex academic record. Okay, last scenario. So Jackie graduated from high school and has only been attending San Jose City College ever since. She has more than 80 UC lower division transferable units. When she applies next year, what will she apply as? Yes, that's correct. The answer is C. She will apply as a transfer applicant with junior standing, but the key word here is only. Not all coursework you take at a community college will necessarily be transferable. So it's important to ask university reps about your transferable units. And even though Jackie has more than 80 transferable units, the UC will only accept 70 semester or 105 quarter units of lower division coursework from other schools. Yes, and here is a link here for further reference about that. Okay, moving on. So now let's discuss some transfer options. So as a transfer student, you have a lot of options, but you have to figure out a plan early on. You need to choose where you want to transfer to and create a plan to make sure you meet all the requirements when you are ready to apply and transfer. So let's take a look at some of these options. The California State University system has 23 campuses all over California. The University of California system is also all over California, but only has 10 campuses. 9 of them offer undergraduate and graduate education, but UC San Francisco exclusively offers graduate and professional education in the health sciences. There are also private universities all over California, such as Stanford, University of the Pacific, Santa Clara University, and more. Then you can also transfer out of state. The Western Undergraduate Exchange Program is one such program to help students transfer out of state within the Western United States. Finally, the HBCU system is another transfer option. Although these schools are historically Black, they accept students of all ethnicities. And the HBCU has 101 campuses all across the United States. So whether or not you know which schools you want to apply to, we encourage you to do this exercise. There are so many transfer options out there, but not all of them will be suitable for everyone. And figuring out what options fit you and your needs is important. First is academic. Does the school serve your academic needs as a learner? Then the community. Does it have access to a community that you feel you belong to? Then the environment. Do you feel comfortable and safe on campus and in the greater area? And do you like the weather there? Then the financial aspect. Will you be able to afford the school with your income, financial aid, and any other support you might be receiving? And finally, there's the professional aspect. If you're interested in graduate school, we recommend that you look at the graduate programs with the schools looking into, and also look at the careers in your field in the local area. There are programs to facilitate California community colleges students transfer to a university. And depending on where you're at, you might want to capitalize on these programs. If you're interested in CSU campuses, you can take advantage of educational pathways such as the Associate's Degree for Transfer and the CSU GE Pattern Certificate. If you're interested in both CSU and UC, you might want to follow the IGETC pattern, which satisfies freshman and sophomore general education requirements. Your community college should have a worksheet so that you know what to take to get that certification. And transfer students also have a lot of options when it comes to UC campuses. For example, UC Pathways serves as a roadmap of major courses and 20 majors participate in it. UCLA specifically also has the Transfer Alliance program, where you're certified after completing the honors program at your community college and then given priority consideration for UCLA admission. The Transfer Admission Guarantee program in the UC system guarantees admission to the campus of your choice and major of your choice, given you fulfill certain coursework and GPA requirements. However, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and UC San Diego do not participate. And even at the campuses that do participate, some majors might be excluded from TAG. 37 HBCU campuses also have admission guarantees for fulfilling certain requirements. And you might notice here that we didn't include private and out-of-state universities. This is because they all have their own requirements. So if you're interested in transferring to those places, please work with your transfer center counselor. Now let's take a look at the minimum requirements for UC and CSU admission. We're not including private out-of-state or HBCU requirements since those are all different. If you're interested in those schools, like we stated before, check out their website and your transfer center. So figuring out your major at each of these schools is the most important first step. Watch out for terminology such as impacted, capped, or selective majors. For example, at UC Davis, we have majors that we call selective majors, with additional coursework and GPA requirements beyond the minimums on the screen. And regardless of whether you're interested in CSU or UC, you need 60 transferable semester units. Now I advise you to take classes that count towards both systems. You can use assist.org to check a course's transferability. And the CSU system requires a 2.0 minimum GPA and UC requires a 2.4 minimum. But a minimum GPA won't get you accepted, so still push for the highest grades possible. Both the CSU and UC also look for specific course patterns, such as the CSU's Golden 4 and the UC 7 course pattern. You also need to get your documentation in order. State and federal public health requires schools to get some immunization records from students. Then you'll also need your academic records from high school and any college or university you attended. This includes out-of-state, private, and international schools if you ever attended those. And then if you have AP or IB scores, you will also be required to report those. So make sure you have access to your academic record. Finally, you are expected to complete your own application and make sure that everything is accurate and true. So you have to sign the statement of application integrity after that.
So now I will be going over the cost of attendance. As much as you prepare for admission eligibility, you should also prepare yourself for how you will finance your education. So here's a quick average cost of attendance across all of your transfer options. So for CSU's off campus, around $33,000, CSU on campus, around $29,000, UC off campus, $37,000, UC's on campus, around $41,000. Private universities and out-of-states vary, and HBCUs in-state is around $7,000, while out-of-states are around $14,000. In the next slide, we will teach you how to read the cost of attendance using UC Davis as an example. And here are the references for the different colleges. So here is an example of the UC Davis undergraduate cost of education breakdown for 2022 to 2023. This is an estimate of how much it would cost to attend UC Davis. Now, I know there are a lot of big numbers, but don't let the total cost scare you away. Remember, there is financial aid programs that you can take advantage of. Let's look at the living on campus resident hall column. The tuition and fees is about $15,000, but the total cost for California residents is $39,000. I would recommend looking at the tuition and fees as the true cost and using the other categories as estimates, acknowledging that those expenses may not be the same for you. You may get financial aid or still have your parents' insurance, and so factors like this will make your total cost of attendance different from these estimates. You can use this link to look up this page. So due to the cost of living and inflation, as you know, tuition and fees will also increase. By 2023 to 2024, so next year, UC tuition for California students will be expected to be at $13,752. So what is the tuition stability plan and why is it important for you to know? The tuition stability plan is a multi-year plan starting fall 2022 that sets UC tuition for undergraduates, both freshmen and transfer students at the time of enrollment, with the expectation that those charges should remain at the same level each following year for the duration of their college careers up to 6 academic years. So basically, the cost that you pay when you start is going to be the same throughout your time at UC. So for graduate students, tuition for new and continuing students will be set annually, but will rise no faster than inflation, essentially remaining flat in constant dollars. The University of California Board of Regents approved a multi-year tuition stability plan on July 22nd, 2021. The plan helps students and families budget for UC education by keeping UC tuition stable and predictable and providing new resources for financial aid. Beginning fall 2022, tuition will be adjusted for each incoming undergraduate class, but will subsequently remain flat until the student graduates for up to 6 years. For undergraduate students who first enroll in fall 2022 or earlier, including all current undergraduates, tuition will stay flat at current rates for the duration of their enrollment for up to 6 years. The plan will be up for reauthorization by the Board of Regents in 5 years. The plan provides unprecedented predictability for families in helping to manage their educational costs while allowing the university to provide greater financial aid for the majority of UC's lowest income students, preserve the excellence of its academic and research programs, and expand enrollment for California students. I know that sounded like a lot, but just like how you're planning for admission by completing major preparation and minimum admission requirement for transfer, you should also plan on how you're going to finance your education. We recommend that you use the financial aid calculator at each of the universities to do an estimate. In the next slide, we will talk about how you can pay for college. So our question for you is, how are you going to pay for college? Do you have a plan yet? Here are a few common options that students use. Some people work and save money, while others have educational policies like 529 plans. 529 plans are when parents save money on the side that can be used for college expenses. This is the most common practice for families that are middle and upper class since their expected family contribution, or EFC, is high. Ask your parents to see if they have a 529 set up for you. Alternatively, if you are a permanent resident, U.S. citizen, AB 540, and apply for FAFSA or CADAA, you may qualify for grants, scholarships, work study, and loans. So who can receive financial aid? California residents, undocumented students, international students. And so for the financial aid process, you can likely get grants, scholarships, jobs and work study, and loans. And there's also the UC Financial Aid Program, which is the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan, which applies to you if your family's annual income is under $80,000 and you qualify for financial aid. You won't pay any tuition or fees under this program. There's the Middle Class Scholarship Program, which provides funding to help middle class students attend UCs, and it also covers between 10 to 40% of system-wide tuition and fees. There's also the California Dream Loan Program, which provides eligible undocumented AB 540 undergraduates with the option to borrow loans to help cover the cost of attending a UC. Now let's switch gears and talk about graduation and the steps to complete your graduation at a UC. So in order to have a successful transfer process, students need to understand how degree completion works. I recommend you take a picture of this slide because it's pretty helpful. I always encourage students to explore the university catalog of the school of your interest to be familiar with the requirements. We split it up in a few different steps. Step 1. While you're at a community college, you need to take classes to prepare for your major. You also need to take general education classes. Make sure you're picking classes that are transferable to both UCs and CSUs. If you don't complete an IGETC or an associate degree for transfer, you will have to follow the general ed pattern at the school you're going to transfer to when you get there. Step 2. Once you successfully transfer to a four-year institution, you will take upper division courses that fall within the major preparation or your general education. You will also have to take university or college graduation requirements before you can get your degree. Step 3. About a year before you graduate, you have to submit a graduation application to the registrar's office. At that time, graduation evaluators will process your application by auditing your coursework and requirements. Then they will approve you for graduation. This slide serves as your map to college. To navigate your degree completion, you have to be able to visualize the process and all of the requirements. We hope that this is useful to you. Finally, we're going to take a look at the resources you already have available at your college. I didn't know this before starting at the Transfer Opportunity Program, but higher education institutions are mandated by the state and federal government to offer services as long as they accept state and federal funding. Because the California Community College is a public system, they offer many support programs and services that you see here on the screen, such as the Student Senate for CCC, Health and Mental Health Services, EOPS, Student Equity, and many more support programs unique to your community college that may fall within major support like MESA, or cultural centers and programs like Umoja and basic assistant like the Writing and Tutoring Center. Now, we would love to hear what services you've used at your community college. You can put your answers in the chat. And then here is a link where you can get more information for this slide.
Awesome, Bianca. Thanks for sharing that. I too was an EOPS student when I was a community college student. How about Alin and Anushka? What programs or services did you use from your community college?
I used MESA, and I was also a part of the honors program.
Yeah, I actually didn't know much about like community college programs and services, but I found TOP towards the end before my transfer, but I wish I learned more about this.
Now, another resource you should take advantage of is the Counseling and Transfer Center. Transfer Center started out as a pilot program in 1985. It was initiated to improve transfer success and accessibility to UCs, CSUs, and independent colleges statewide. The focus was on historically underrepresented students. At first, these services were only initiated at 23 community colleges. Fast forward to now, all of the California community colleges have a transfer center to assist students with all transfer-related questions. The Transfer Center provides a computer lab to assist students during the application cycle. They also host college fairs and college tours throughout the year, along with college workshops. On top of that, the center provides transfer counseling. We always recommend students to meet with their CC Transfer Center counselor to establish an educational plan and discuss career options. We also suggest that students to share their educational and transfer plans with the top coordinator or any university representative during the first meeting. The Transfer Center serves as your middleman to university reps. If you have already attended any of the Transfer Center workshops, the information on this PowerPoint should be familiar to you. Personally, I really use my counselors, and I really suggest that you use yours. I bothered mine every single quarter just because I wanted to make sure that I was on the path to go to UC. So if you're enrolled at a California community college, you'll need to know how to navigate assist.org. It is a great place to find UC and CSU transferable courses. It has articulation agreements and a major guide to help you identify what courses to take. I'll put it in the chat. If you're interested in UC campuses, you should create a UC TAP account as soon as possible, like right after this meeting. TAP stands for the Transfer Admission Planner. It is a University of California online tool that helps transfer students track their progress. It also allows for UC representatives to do a pre-evaluation and give tailored advising. TAP is also the home to the Transfer Admission Guarantee, which is TAG. Another good resource is on the UC TAP. Under the support program section, you can find many transfer preparation programs at each UC campus, like the Transfer Opportunity Program at UC Davis. Last but not least, your go-to support for all transfer questions is your transfer center. Get to know your counselor and transfer center as soon as possible. They can connect you to a university representative. Now, TOP is a transfer preparation program that brings UC Davis admission representatives to your campus. Each campus is assigned a TOP representative, so your TOP coordinator can help you with academic advising, evaluating your TAP, helping with your tag, and answering any questions you might have about UC Davis, providing seminars on academic and career opportunities. We can help you navigate any four-year institution. Now, not all of the California colleges, community colleges have a TOP representative, so send your thank you to your transfer center and the dean for making this happen to you every year. I know my community college, I really bothered the transfer opportunity program. One of my coordinators, I think it was Kim, I Zoomed her like every 2-3 months just because I really wanted to make sure. But then the year after I transferred, my school didn't have TOP anymore. And it kind of sucked for everyone who like went to that school because they didn't have the same resources I did. So I would say really, really take advantage of this because it's such a great program. It's so helpful. So here are some important dates for the transfer application during the admission process. I highly recommend you taking a picture of this. On August 1st, the UC application opens. Later on October 1st, the CSU Apply Admission Portal opens for the fall admission cycle. Note that most UC campuses only offer a fall admission cycle, while some CSU campuses offer fall and spring admission cycles. In some cases, if a school didn't meet their enrollment goal, they can open up special admission cycles to get more students. Moving on, September 30th is the deadline for TAG application. Some UC campuses will review TAG and send out notifications by November. UC Davis is one of them. Then on November 30th, CSU and UC applications are due. A few months later, UC campuses have the transfer admission update, the TAU, due, usually at the end of January. At that time, you should also create a My Admissions portal at each of the campuses you've applied to. CSUs also require an update through their portal. FAFSA, or the California Dream Act application, opens in October, and it's usually due on March 2nd. Please don't wait until last to submit your application for financial aid. It's not worth the stress. Between March and April, UC campuses will release their decision for admission. CSU campuses usually send out their decision between February to March. And lastly, June 1st is the deadline for submitting your Statement of Intent to Enroll, also known as SIR. You will be expected to log into your student portal to accept or decline your admission offer. We've covered a lot in the past 30 minutes. Thank you so much for your attention this whole time. We're going to end the presentation with some takeaways. So number 1, define your why for going to colleges. Number 2, we discussed the importance of understanding the transfer options and what your CC offers and analyze your fit factors before finalizing your educational plan. The formula for success is doing your research plus keeping yourself organized. 3, next, be familiar with admission requirements and timeline. Please don't miss any important deadline. Lastly, the best way to understand the transfer process is to look at the steps to degree completion. You're not expected to know everything and go through this alone. Please reach out to your transfer center, CC staff, and TOP counselors and coordinators if you have any questions. We're here to help. In addition to the TOP coordinators, we also have SOA coordinators. We have an email where you can send us any question you have about student life, because we go here, like we know what's happening on campus all the time. So like we're open to any questions regarding student life. So this next slide is dedicated to you guys. Use the chat to share some successful tips with each other. And if this is your first time learning this content, what's one thing you find most useful as you plan out your transfer journey?
Well, thank you. The chat's been really active, so it's been really nice to see. Definitely utilizing those resources early on, right, was something that we highlighted. But just being mindful that for most of you, you apply a year in advance, right? So just preparing and being strategic about that timeline. But feel free to use the chat to drop some of the information that you've learned, or maybe some resources that you've utilized. I saw the Promise Grant or California Promise, right? It's a huge benefiting factor if they're able to cover your tuition, right? So just being mindful of being honest in these applications, providing all the information, even your own income, right? If you're working part-time, so that we're able to better assess and award when necessary. So there's a question regarding, so we are recording the session. I'm going to stop it at the questions, but we will offer it in our YouTube channel. There's a question regarding creating I'm assuming it's a UC tab. So just look out for some events that we're hosting. Our SOAs do a beautiful job of hosting the Tap and a Snap workshops, but if your transfer center is hosting similar workshops, or if you need assistance, feel free to email the top SOA email so we can set up an appointment and we'll kind of walk you through it. Awesome, David, I'm glad to hear. So again, reminder that the cost of tuition is going to look a little bit different for each of you because we all come from different incomes, household sizes. We either rent, we own, we're traveling, we don't have, some of us are dependents, not dependents. So each transfer journey is very unique. So what stays consistent is the tuition and fees. What will change is, are you living on campus, off campus? Do you eat 7 days a week, or are you going to eat 5 times a week? Are you going to cook at home, right? Are you going to live at home? So each transfer journey is going to look a little bit different. And the other big thing to remember, the cost of tuition at a community college looks very different than once you actually transfer to UC. If you want it to be cost effective, then there's some ways that we could strategize, right? So living at home for at least a year, or carpooling, right? Or roommates, right? Or getting a part-time job. So there's so many different ways to save a little bit of money, but also get a little bit of money, which is applying for scholarships. So don't wait till your admissions is set, right? To start applying for these scholarships, because everybody else is also going to be applying. So get a head start. So great question. There's a question regarding at 30 units, should I start talking or thinking about tag? Absolutely. So ideally, you're hitting the 30 unit mark. If you're going full time, let's say 12 to 15 units in that fall, and then 12 to 15 units in spring, we're starting the conversation, right? Ideally a year before or a couple months before, because September is when we're submitting that tag application. So we want to make sure that you're eligible. The key thing here for tag is what major you're doing, right? Because each major is going to have a array of courses that are required for admissions, or courses that need to be completed before you even apply, or certain GPA requirements. So don't figure this out on your own. Please work with us at the transfer centers and also the top coordinators to figure out this information, so we're better, so we could help you. So our students looked differently with different incomes, so they are awarded differently, right? So somebody that needs more financial need will be awarded a little bit more grants or scholarships. Someone that didn't file for financial aid and is planning to pay out of pocket, then you move forward with that application. From an admission standpoint, no. It's pretty black and white with transfer students, right? Do you have the grades? Do you have the GPA? And then what is your major? And then do you have the selective major GPA? That's pretty much it. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Veronica, that you are excited for the tuition stability plan. I highly encourage you to spread the word, and to all of you that joined us today, the various folks in your life, to know that this is an option and that the UC system is attainable for you. So great question. So regarding high school transcripts, if you earned a P or IB credit, then in your UC TAP, you would include that information. No need to send us anything. Wait until you are admitted, then we will ask you for certain things. Ideally, this information is just self-reported prior to being accepted, and we just use the transcripts to verify the information once you are admitted. So there's a great question regarding scholarship websites. So if you visited the financial aid or scholarship page at your community college, there's already pre-vetted out programs that are there where you're able to look at the websites that have been vetted out by your community college. There's a handful that I could think of, but I'll share them in the chat in a bit. I'm going to move over to the next slide because I'm still answering a lot of questions, but I'll go ahead and stop the recording, and feel free to keep adding more.